Could be.
There we go.
Yeah. That's because your computer is slow.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, we started the recording, so here we go. This is episode 73. We're talking about this whole month of June about fears and phobias. So, um, Helene and I are both emotion code practitioners, and we are the emotion code divas. And we both have the new book that Dr. Bradley put out in May. So, we're going to talk and explain some of the definitions that he gives us about fears and phobias. Helena's going to talk a little bit about hypnosis, and I'm going to talk a bit about your belief system with the law of attraction. So, so that's me. I'm Dana Smithers, one of the Emotion Code Divas. Helena, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll just quickly go over the keys of how we actually do an emotion code session for people that are watching for the first time or trying to learn it.
Yes. So I'm Helena Jenikin. I'm a certified emotion code practitioner and also a certified clinical hypnotherapist. And yeah, I use hypnosis with my clients. I use the emotion code with my clients. And the combination is just beautiful. But we're in love with the emotion code, aren't we, Dana?
Absolutely. I've done for a lot of my career, not only have I taught law of attraction, I've been a law of attraction trainer, but I've been a business coach for many years. And what I realized when, I gave people the business plan, the marketing ideas, everything, okay, go forward and do it, they were blocked. So that's when I first learned the emotion code several years ago. And uh, regardless of what I'm doing with someone, I almost always do an emotion code session for them as well, because we all have blocks. Dr. Brad says, we've got hundreds and hundreds of trapped emotions that are blocked. So Helena, why don't we just go ahead and I'll just hold the cards up and I'll tell you what I'm holding up. So first step, we need to get permission.
That's right. We always have to have permission when we're working on a client. So we ask for their permission. We can actually get their client's permission to work on their children, the ones that they're guardians of, and also their animals.
Yeah, and that's one of my, I would say, areas of expertise is working with animals. There's also a new site, Animal Emotion Code page on Facebook that I've been posting some things in as well. So when we do that, we then become their proxy. So
That's
if
right.
they're not with us, which, Helene, I guess unless you're doing work in your office, right, with somebody,
Mhm.
you're doing it like me. I do a lot on, I've got one at 11 on Facebook chats, and then I've got one on Zoom and, all sorts of things. So it doesn't have to be done in person.
Nope, it doesn't. A video actually works just as well. And sometimes people will just text me, depending on where they are, and ask for a motion code session, and I just report back to them what I found, and they still experience the change.
Yeah, absolutely. I just did that last week with someone that didn't have the time, but she told me what her symptoms were. She gave me a lengthy explanation. And I have to say, I know, Helena, you and I have started asking this question, is there any psychic resonance? That meaning, is there one or two trapped emotions that have followed this person throughout the whole life that are holding them back? And it's interesting because what came up was the emotion of grief.
Oh,
And I know this person, I thought, but I trusted whatever comes up. And sure enough, she gave me a story of from very early childhood of something I was totally unaware of. So I just sent her all my information, but it was nice that again she gave me an explanation after. But it was all done through email. We didn't have a one-on-one conversation. So we have to ask them what we call the severity. So if they say it's a 2, what do we think, Helena?
well, let's work on something else. We like to work on issues that people are feeling, a 7, 8, 9, or a 10 severity level on.
Yeah, and then we'll also check in with their subconscious to see what the severity actually is, because that's where the truth is. And how we're going to do that is through what we call muscle testing.
Mhm.
So, Alina, do you want to just demo what you do for muscle testing? I know I've had a few people say they can't quite get the hang of it, but Dr. Brad in his book, he's got lots of techniques that you can use. So you just need to practice. So Helena, how do you get a yes or no from your subconscious?
So my agreement with my subconscious mind is when I take these two ring fingers like this and link them together, and I think of the word yes, they just lock together. I can be pulling really hard and they're just locked together. But as soon as I think of the word no, there is no way that these fingers will stay together. So during the sessions, I just kind of yes, no.
Yeah, and mine's a little bit different. I put my index and thumb together on my one hand, and then I use my index and middle finger on the other hand. So my agreement with my subconscious is that's a yes and that's a no. And that's all we're asking when we're looking at this emotion code chart, that we're asking if we were working with someone for fear of flying or anything, we would say, are there any trapped emotions causing this person to have fear of flying? And so we would then look in. Elena, walk us through this one,
Sure. So we'd be looking on our emotion code chart.
which I have
And
here.
yes, and so what we'll be doing is asking if there a negative trapped emotion. Is it in column A or column B? Is it in an odd row or an even row? And we'll actually come down to an actual cell with 5 different emotions. And then we'll ask individually about those 5 emotions. So we've gone from 60 emotions down to 30, down to 15, down to 5 in just a few moments.
And then we go through those. And how do we release them? We release them with
Energy, which are, in this case, magnets. Magnets, and what we do is we run the magnet along our governing meridian. Starts underneath the nose, goes all the way to the top of the tailbone. If you know a little bit about acupuncture, Chinese medicine, you know that the body is full of energy meridians, and so we wipe along this governing meridian to process or cancel or delete, dissipate that negative emotion that was physically stuck in our bodies. And when we identify, it pops out into from our physical system into our energetic system, and then we can just cancel it and delete it. Not quite sure exactly how it works, but all we know, Dana, is that people feel
absolutely.
better.
Yeah, I'm getting great results with people, and I love it. So another thing that you want to do as well as your client is make sure that you're hydrated.
Yeah.
A lot of water, energy flows through water very easily. And it's just plain good for you anyway. It's good for your skin. It's a good flushing out system for your body as well. So Helena,
Mm-hmm.
we are now going to take a look at Dr. Brad's definition. So on page, if you have the book, on page 33, Helena's just going to read a little bit about fear and that emotion and what goes on. And so go ahead and do that, Helena.
Sure. So page 33 of his brand new book, revised edition, Where Emotions Come From. Thousands of years ago, ancient physicians were astute observers of the human body. They found that people whose lives were dominated by certain emotion would have corresponding physical ailments. For example, people whose lives were ruled by anger seemed to suffer from liver and gallbladder trouble. People who dealt with excess grief would often suffer from lung or colon trouble. And fearful people seemed to have kidney and bladder problems. Eventually, a correlation was made between the emotions we experience and the various organs in the body. It is believed that the organs themselves actually produced the emotions that people felt. In other words, if you're feeling fear, your kidneys or bladder would be creating that particular energy or vibration. And if you're feeling grief, it would be produced by your lungs or colon, and so on.
Excellent. And so what I've done with my emotion code chart is I've actually put, because I like working with chakras, so I've color coded what Dr. Brad is talking about with the organs. So when he talks about the kidneys or bladder, so that's in the solar plexus and sacral area. So you'd want to look at all of these emotions. You could even just go to those rows and just do each one and get rid of it. When he talks about lung or colon up here in row 3, then we're really looking at the heart and the sacral chakra. So again, if there's fear, then it would be best to just go ahead. You don't have to ask, and is it an A or B? I would say just go ahead if you know somebody has a lot of fear. And then the other one was the liver or bladder, so or gallbladder. So that's all solar plexus. So again, you could just go through each of those emotions. Is it this? Is it this? And then find out which one it is for that, and release those right away. So now I'm going to go to page 61 in Dr. Brad's book, in his new book. And this is what he says about phobias. So there is a difference here. A phobia is defined as an irrational, persistent fear of certain activities, persons, objects, or situations. So an irrational or persistent fear. And he says, I have found that trapped emotions are a significant cause of phobias and often the only cause. Most people have one or more trapped emotions at the root of any given phobia that they suffer from. Phobias can last a lifetime and can severely disrupt your life. And then he's got a story that he talks about somebody that has lifelong claustrophobia, and they finally found relief by just having an emotion coach session. So he's got some great stories in here. But Helena, I wanted to talk about, was it a fear or a phobia that you had of flying?
Well, I would call it a phobia. And the way I define a phobia, different from a fear, is that a phobia is something that you have a fear about, but nothing's ever happened. So I developed a phobia of flying, but I had never actually been in an airplane. So I had never had a negative experience about flying. But I know enough now about hypnotherapy that when I work with my clients with phobias, it's all based on emotion at some earlier time, and they've linked the two situations together. So, believe it or not, I had a phobia of flying, but I actually wanted to become a flight attendant. So I wanted to be a flight attendant, and I put aside the idea that I was afraid of flying because I really wanted to be a flight attendant. And believe it or not, Dana, I was my second plane ride ever was going to the training from Vancouver to Toronto. And I get on the plane and it's like all fine. And we're taking off and I'm all of a sudden, oh my goodness, I'm really scared. And and I ended up asking the gentleman beside me if I could hold on to his hand because I'm really scared. And that helped a lot. And then he asked me, so where are you going to Toronto? Oh, well, I'm going to train to be a flight attendant. And he kind of looked at me. And I realized that I had an irrational fear because I didn't have any experience. But I was, as you're going to demonstrate, using certain words to create certain thoughts, to create those feelings of fear or unrest and giving me a result. I'm so grateful that I did that training, that flight attendant training, because once I learned what the pilot's responsibilities are, the co-pilots, the ground crews, the flight attendants are not there to serve you coffee and tea. They're there for safety reasons. They're highly trained, specialized people that know how to deal with a situation and to keep their passengers safe.
Right.
Once I learned that, it was like, that
All
feels
right, and that is perfect because that's from a law of attraction perspective. This is how it works, how you get the results that you do, and it's all about what you believe. So Helena just demonstrated a beautiful example of changing her beliefs, changed her thoughts, changed her emotions, and she got a different result. And that result was she wasn't afraid of flying. And this works for anything, this law of attraction. So when we look at the words that she was telling herself, again, irrational, considering she'd never even flown. I don't know how you chose that career, but well done, you, right? Yeah. So she's saying these words to herself, and then these words are turning into her beliefs and her thoughts about, and a belief is something you think over and over and over and over, and she's saying, well, I don't know, I'm afraid of flying. I'm afraid of flying. I don't know how I can do this. And then all of a sudden, she's getting feelings and vibes that are negative, and oh my goodness, what am I doing? How am I going to do this? And she's also then getting a result. Now, if she had not gone back to the whole process and changed her words, her result would be that she would never have been a flight attendant.
Mhm.
And that's how, this is a simple relationship formula. It's not necessarily easy to implement, but you can train yourself. What are you saying? What are the words? What are the thoughts you have, and what are the beliefs? What are you feeling? And again, when we go back to Dr. Brad's chart, is it in the kidneys, the liver, the lungs, the heart? Where are those emotions? And then we can release those. And what's going to happen for you is you're going to feel differently. You're going to feel more positive, and so you're going to get a different result. If you have that fear of flying, then you're going to be able to, or phobia, you're going to be able to get a different result. Even if, I know Helena, I'll tell a quick story about someone that we worked on actually either last year or early this year. She was a 10 in severity of flying, and she had a flight coming up in a couple months or something. So after that, I asked how it was, and she said, well, it was remarkable. I was relaxed. She's saying, I'm not saying I was perfect, but I was very relaxed. I didn't go in sweating, and I didn't have the anxiety that I usually have. So that's when an emotion code session is perfect for fears or phobias. And I know, Helena, you actually had somebody phone you from the airport.
They did. They did. They actually texted me from the airport. They got on a very last minute flight. They had to leave town and go somewhere. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here. I'm so scared of getting on the plane. Can you do an emotion code session, please? And I did that. I texted her, I'm done. And she was able to get on the plane, travel to Toronto, all the way down to South America,
Wow.
return back to Vancouver Island. And she's like, that was easy. Yeah.
Wow. Not great. Yeah. So please, if you have a fear or phobia, contact an emotion code practitioner, one that will, that you resonate with, that even, we all have different tools in our toolkit as well. But emotion code absolutely is really good for fears and phobias. So Helena, just before we wrap up the show, let's give some shout outs.
Yeah.
Natasha Paula Samuel, thank you for watching. Gray and cloudy in Rumford, Essex today. Yeah, we're a little bit cloudy today. We've had some nice sun, but that's kind of going down. Who else we got there, Helena?
Kelly May Glover. Good morning, ladies. Glad to have the opportunity to be here today. I have missed you. We have missed you too, Kelly.
We've missed you too, Kelly May.
Yeah.
And Tammy Prince is watching. Thanks so much, Tammy. I know she's always either she doesn't catch us live. She definitely is seeing what we're up to. And Gail Cole is watching. Thanks so much, Gail. So for next week's show, for the whole month, we are looking for the next viewer that we're looking for. What we're going to work on is, I have it. I think we've got spiders, fear of spiders, fear of heights,
Mhm.
and
Do we have public speaking?
fear of public speaking. Yeah, so I put a post in there. If you have any of those fears or phobias, let Helena and I know, and we'll work on you in the show. We are changing our format so that we are doing more. We're doing live demonstrations for people and getting a lot of really, really good results. So, Helena, how can people reach you?
So people can reach me through my website, which is flourishhypnosis.com/emotion code. I have a Facebook page for Flourish Hypnosis as well as a YouTube channel.
Excellent, thank you. And you can find me, DanaSmithers.com/emotion-code, or my YouTube channel, where I have a lot of different playlists. I have all the Divas shows. I have a lot of law of attraction information, tips about my gratitude journal as well. So that is at Empowered Women in Business. So check it out. And thanks so much for watching. Please share. And if you know anybody that's got any of those fears or phobias, either let us know in the Facebook group or just go ahead and private message either of us. So that's it for now. Have yourselves a great week, and we will see you next time.